and pray. You better get down and pray. You better pray for forgiveness. You better get down and pray for all your dirty business. You better get down upon your knees. Beg the Lord, please, please, please. You better get down and pray. If you think there ain't nobody and it's only just you and me, that's the first time in a long time, honey.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Session 3 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Randie Henderson, and I am one of the Black Feminist Reading Circle members of this online group. This session runs from January 20th until June 2nd and includes 2 week-long breaks. Our democratically selected reading material is Harriet A. Washington's book, Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You may find the Global Black Feminist Reader Circle on Google Plus, YouTube, and Facebook, and always feel free to join us in reading our story together.
Welcome everyone to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. This is session 3, meaning the third book that we're reading, and meeting 8. Our text is Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. And tonight we are focused on Chapter 7, Notoriously Syphilis-Soaked Race, What Really Happened at Tuskegee. My name is Michelle Odom. I am the co-host of the Reading Circle and tonight's moderator.
Hi everyone, my name is Randie. I am watching from Atlanta, and I co-moderate with Michelle. I'm also at work, so he's all this.
Good evening, everyone. I am Georgette Moses. I'm participating from Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm so happy to be here.
I'm Kim Brandon, and I'm joining everyone from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm grateful that we're having these discussions. Happy about it? I don't know, but I just think it's necessary.
Good evening. My name is Venita Walker, and I'm joining you from Connecticut. Welcome.
I'm Joel Jones from South Carolina. How's everybody doing?
Between 1932 and 1972, 399 Black men were enrolled and monitored in a study on the progression of untreated syphilis, a known killer, without their knowledge or consent. A control group of 200 uninfected men were also added to the population of subjects. Author Harriet A. Washington reveals in Chapter 7, A Notoriously Syphilis-Soaked Race, What Really Happened at Tuskegee. Details about the actors, motives, and actions of those who designed and carried out this well-publicized example of medical violence. By 1955, nearly 1/3 of the autopsied men had died directly of syphilis, and many of the survivors were suffering its deadliest complications, we learn. And further, 40 wives were infected and at least 19 children were born with syphilitic birth defects. Washington begins with an examination of the oppressive conditions among African Americans in Macon County, Alabama, when the Depression-era study was started, and delivers readers to the day in 1997 when President Bill Clinton apologized to the few living subjects whose lives had been forever harmed by intentional acts of the U.S. government. Along the way, she reveals details of her own original research with living members of the ad hoc panel who ultimately ended the study, places the study in the context of other and subsequent medical abuse of African Americans, offers some conclusions about the study's meaning and place in American history and race relations, considers its impact on current research practices, and shares her perceptions of the contributions of the Tuskegee Syphilis Study to fears Blacks carry about the healthcare system and its impact on the collective health of African Americans.
Section D. Apparently, lots of people lack the courage to stand up for what is right in the face of injustice. Fear of death and or economic fears allow otherwise good people to sit idly by as wrongdoing occurs. The Black men and women in our society, like the nurse who tracked the subjects in the Tuskegee Syphilis Study, as well as the doctors who agreed not to treat them, are examples of people who are probably motivated mostly by fear, our very own Judases. Number 11, how do you feel learning about Black people who helped the Tuskegee Syphilis Study succeed in preventing Black men from receiving needed treatment? Is there a time in your life when you have had to face your fears, and if so, what happened and how did you do it? 13, do you know of any tools, methods, techniques, or strategies we might use as individuals to increase our personal courage? Well, we already talked about how I felt about the Black folks helping the Tuskegee Syphilis Study succeed in preventing Black men from receiving needed treatment. Was there a time in my life when I had to face my fears? And if so, what happened and how did you do it? I don't know. I think folks that have courage is something that, I don't know if you can be taught that. I think I can speak for myself, I think it's innate. I think you have those people that will stand for what's right and already know there will be consequences. There are those people that know that the road that's traveled, they will be criticized for traveling that road. There are people that will stand for what's right and don't care about the economic incentives or otherwise. And I just think it's something innate. I don't know if you can teach a person courage. I really don't. And that's why we've had people in our country that have died for us and didn't think about, well, if I try to do this or do that, then I might not make it. So I don't think I'm going to do it. Or if I see something wrong, I think I'll just hush my mouth. Because after all, if NASA find out, we'll all be in trouble. You know, I guess you're talking to the wrong person. Because I think people have a lot of respect for people who don't have any courage, who don't stand for anything. Stand for something, anything. Stand for a butterfly, save an ant, do something. But I just, I just think that we have the courage to fight each other. We got the courage to call each other names. We got the courage to make each other feel less than. So we got some courage. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Off topic. I don't want to sound like I'm ranting, but I just don't understand the courage part of it. We got courage to carry guns and shoot each other through the head. We got courage to sell dope to children on corners, our own children. We got all that courage.
Well,
I'm not trying to, I'm just, it depends on where you want to put your courage or where you want to place your courage. Is that it? Am I missing something?
well.
Yes, Michelle. Come on, let's pretty it up, Michelle. Pretty it up.
I don't know if I can this time, Venita.
There was straight, no chaser. It's all right. That's you, Venita. That's all right, baby. We understand. We understand.
Michelle is my best friend because she pretties it up. Pretty it up, Michelle. Come on, I'll start for you. Well, now, Venita, let's take it. Yeah, we all are different people. We all have different ways. Go on, Michelle. Take it from there.
That's right. That's right. Thank you.
Okay.
But no, I mean, in terms of your point about whether or not we can teach courage, I don't know. I mean, I think that as parents, we have a lot of influence. Certainly, we cannot control who our children become, and we're only one piece of the puzzle that influences that process, but we have some influence. And so you know that book or the idea that everything you needed to learn about life you learned by kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
Is I think really what's at issue. We keep confronting bullies in our lives, or we keep confronting situations that scare us in our lives, and I do think that we can move from being totally fearful to learning how to face our fears. And so bullying comes up in the next section, which I'm going to read because it'll flow right into this. But I just want to say on this section that learning to conquer our fears is a process, and I don't know what the actual steps or process is. Probably a psychologist or some kind of therapist is who we should be talking to. But I think you're right, Venita, that there's a certain level of natural, innate courage that some people have, but that it's like something that's a talent versus a skill. If you have an abundance of courage just naturally, then it's a talent for you. But if you want to develop the skill of being courageous, that can be a learned process. The example, of course, for me that you guys know about of facing my fear is the homelessness situation. And Venita knows I was running from homelessness like a champ for years. It was on my back, and I was like, no, Shelly ain't going down like that.
All right.
Oh, and to the point that it had me suicidal, really, because just the thought of all that situation could be was so scary to me. And I finally realized that it was a fear issue. And, I wish I could tell you all that I realized that it was fear and I decided to confront my fear. No, I got pushed off the edge.
No, that didn't come with courage. I say that's no. That's what I'm telling you. She's courageous, but that wasn't no courage. Ain't nothing to do with courage, honey.
I got pushed off the edge, and I said, "Oh, I better try to stay alive."
Okay. Necessity.
Yes, necessity. Hello, Joelle. And so I found my courage along the way, and that's why I say I think there probably is a process that one can go through to help them face their fears. Like if you're afraid of flying, and I don't know, you do things like, I don't know, go up in tall buildings or something. That you learn to do things to build yourself up to face those things that scare you.
Michelle, I've always been afraid of scary movies, and there are some things I'm afraid of. And I'm still afraid of scary movies today. I'm not trying to find the courage to watch one. I don't need to watch one.
Well, we don't always have to face our fears, but like the homelessness, sometimes life presents us with a situation where we have to face our fears whether we want to or not. I didn't want to.
I was going to say something funny, Michelle, but I won't do it. All right, I'll stop. Oh, I was tired, Michelle. I'm in a rare form tonight. I should just go to bed.
Yes.
Just me personally, in terms of what courage or situations have I seen that help improve things, for me, groups like this one, learning your history, knowing what you're up against, and then starting out on a plan. I think that a lot of African American people are either asleep, addicted, or fighting battles alone. And for me, one of the things that's been extremely helpful is to understand the pathology in my own family so that I'm not the one that's passing it along to the next generation, so that I can actually have real conversations with people in my family. So for my brother and I to talk about syphilis today, it was just like, and then what happened? Yeah, she was blind, huh? And so it just kind of says who raised my parents and how they raised us. And it makes me have so much love and forgiveness for my family, I can't tell you. And I think that's where we start with eliminating some of the self-hate. I just really, really adore my father, because I don't know what his little life was like when he was young. And so the fact that, he did what he did with what he was given, and then he gave me a certain percentage of that, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I don't feel the bitterness that I had felt previously when I didn't understand the whole story and how the system and the terrorism in America helped to raise me.
Mm-hmm.
So that just gives me so much hope and so much courage, and I just feel like when I read books like Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, those are the type of things that say, you know what, we can do this, but this is going to be some emotionally dredging up, and then coming together and loving each other through it. So those are some of my thoughts.
Well, thank you. And that is a high note uh, for us to start to bring it down with. But Georgette, I know you got a high note for us too. What you got?
Oh my goodness. I loved everything you said there, Kim. And I loved especially finding your power base. And maybe that's where, you know, we have to do it individually and then collectively.
Hmm.
And taking the successes from the past. You looked at what happened, but they still survived. So
That's
that means that we came from them and we can still survive. All we have to do is cut through the bullshit
hmm
and keep it together, and we'll survive too.
Thank you. Randy, you have any final thoughts?
Well, I agree with Kim. I was just thinking today. I told y'all last week that my grandfather may or may not have prostate cancer. Something's wrong, but he won't go look at it. But he used to sharecrop when he was younger, and he I think he had to leave like in 5th grade to go back to work. So he never finished his education, really. So he self-taught himself to and through like watching to do what he does. He fixes popcorn machines and other machines around Atlanta, and he's pretty. They call him a lot. He still is making pretty good money. But it made me just feel so much compassion for all of our people, even the ones that don't make sense, even the new blacks. Like it just makes me feel so much compassion, really, because we never really got help. They
hmm
freed us, but not really. Especially the black still in poverty, and just because slavery ended, here doesn't mean that they weren't still shipping people over here. So like we've been through so much, and white supremacy has literally tried to wipe us out. Like we read in the book last week, they thought we'd be done by 2000, and 15 years later. So it makes me feel very empowered. It makes me sad, but it makes me feel very empowered, and just I just love my people, but I don't want to just survive anymore. And I feel like we've just been doing that. While survival is good, we're still here. I don't want to just survive. Get to a point in our society where we're not just surviving and there's not just a few of us making it, or just a few of us in this book club, or just a few of us knowing of this book. I had no idea about this book until you suggested it for this session. So I don't know what we can do to put it out there more and have people actually read it, because it is difficult to read. And if I didn't have the book club, I don't know if I would have made it past, the first 5 chapters, like you said, would be very difficult. So because I have to read it, obviously, it's pushed me to read it. And, now, of course, I want to keep reading it. But I don't know. It makes me, I just feel for us a lot. I really do. Even the ones who have a lot of issues, because we never got help, and we've been so much has been taken from us, and all this trauma we've carried on in our families, and it's a shame. It really is.
Yeah. Venita, any final thoughts?
When I read this chapter, I have heard of this study many times in the past. I never got that much in depth as I had in this chapter. I'm not as angry with us for not having the courage to stand up for ourselves.
hmm
I'm angry more at the system that has not changed.
Ever think hard, honey, how we got here today? You may find it's not funny. You better get down and pray. Well, you better get down and pray. You better pray for forgiveness. You better get down and pray all for your dirty business. You better get down upon your knees and beg the Lord, please, please, please. You better get down. You better get down and pray. You better get down and pray.